You've probably heard it a million times, right? To get ahead, you need a head start. You gotta pick a path early, focus like a laser, and just grind it out. But what if that's not just wrong, but actually the worst advice for the world we live in today? In this explainer, we're going to dig into this myth of the head start and show you why it might just be the generalists who come out on top.
And to really get what we're talking about, let's look at two absolute legends of sport who reached the very top of their game in completely opposite ways.
So on one side, you have the specialist, Tiger Woods. His dad, Earl, literally had him on national TV swinging a golf club when he was just 2 years old. His whole life was this masterclass in what's called deliberate practice. And then on the other side, you've got the generalist, Roger Federer. As a kid, he played everything, skiing, wrestling, you name it. His parents were what you'd call pulley, not pushy, and his big goal, it wasn't to break records. It was just to, have some fun, and maybe, if he was lucky, meet his hero Boris Becker.
Now, Tiger's path, that's the one we all recognize. It's intense, it's focused, and it starts incredibly early. His father was so sure of his son's destiny, he called him the chosen one, someone who'd have a bigger impact on the world than Gandhi or Buddha. I mean, wow. This is that story, that model of hyper-specialization that we've all been sold.
And then you have Roger's path. His own mom was a tennis coach, and she flat out refused to coach him. Why? She said he would just upset her because he was always trying out these weird strokes and never hit the ball back normally. So, this brings up a huge question. How can two totally different, almost opposite approaches both lead to becoming one of the greatest of all time?
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at why we're so obsessed with the Tiger model in the first place. Let's call it the cult of specialization. The engine driving this whole head start idea is something called deliberate practice. And look, this isn't just practicing a lot. It's a very specific kind of training. It's super structured, you need a coach giving you immediate feedback, and you repeat the same things over and over and over. It's all about a laser focus on one single thing.
And yeah, you probably know where this is going. This brings us to that magic number, 10,000, the famous 10,000-hour rule. The idea is that if you can rack up 10,000 hours of this deliberate practice in anything, you'll become a world-class expert. So naturally, the earlier you start, the faster you get there. Makes sense, right?
And if you want the ultimate proof, look no further than the Polgar sisters. Their dad, Laszlo, literally decided before they were even born that they were going to be chess champions. He picked chess because it was objective, you could measure progress easily, and through this insane, hyper-specialized childhood, it worked. All three of them became world-class players. It seems like the perfect, undeniable proof that the Head Start model is the way to go, right?
Well, if that's really the whole story, if a super-focused head start is the master key, then how in the world do you explain Roger Federer? Answering that question is what blows this whole thing wide open. So how do we solve this Tiger versus Roger puzzle? Well, the answer isn't that one way is right and the other is wrong. It's that they're right for different worlds. And once you get this, it's a total aha moment. Okay, think about it like this. There are kind learning environments and wicked ones. Kind worlds, like chess or golf, have super clear rules. Patterns repeat themselves. You take a shot, you know right away if it's good or bad. Feedback is fast and accurate. Specialization is awesome here. But most of our lives, our careers, the big problems we face, they're wicked. The rules are unclear, or they change. Patterns don't repeat. And feedback, it can be slow or it can be just plain wrong.
And here's where it gets really dangerous. In these wicked worlds, the very experience that makes you an expert in a kind world can totally backfire. It can actually drill into you the exact wrong lessons. Let me give you a really terrifying real-world example of this. Back in 1949, a team of elite firefighters, smoke jumpers, parachuted into a fire at Man Gulch. But the situation suddenly changed. The fire jumped a canyon and started racing towards them up the hill. Their foreman, a guy named Wagner Dodge, had a moment of insight and screamed at his men to drop their heavy tools so they could run faster. But for a firefighter, their tools are their identity, their expertise. Most of them couldn't do it. They clung to their tools, and 13 of them died, trapped by the very things that define them as experts.
That's a dramatic, tragic example of how specialization can fail when the rules change. So how do you thrive in this wicked world that most of us actually live and work in? Well, the answer is to cultivate what you might call range. This is the outsider advantage.
All right, let's try a quick thought experiment. Imagine you're a doctor. You have a patient with a malignant tumor. Now, there's a ray that can destroy it, but it's so powerful it will also destroy all the healthy tissue it passes through on the way in. How do you save the patient? Just take a second and think about it.
If you're like most people, your brain is probably stuck in the medical world, right? Thinking about scalpels and different kinds of rays. But what if the answer isn't in a medical textbook at all? What if it's in military strategy?
So, check this out. Imagine a general who has to capture a fortress in the middle of a plain, but every single road leading to it is full with mines, so a big direct attack is impossible. What does he do? He divides his army into a bunch of small groups. They all approach the fortress from different roads, and they converge on it at the exact same time. The combined force is strong enough to take the fortress. So, back to our tumor problem. See the solution now? Use lots of weak rays from many different angles that all converge on the tumor. Boom, problem solved.
This is the power of thinking by analogy. It's a generalist superpower. Johannes Kepler basically invented astrophysics by using analogies from things like light and magnetism. And get this, today there are companies like Innocentive where big corporations post problems their own world-class specialists can't solve. And the research on who solves them is mind-blowing. The further away a problem is from someone's own area of expertise, the more likely they are to solve it. Why? Because they aren't trapped by the standard way of thinking. They have an outside-in view.
Okay, this is all really fascinating, but what does it actually mean for you, in your life, in your career? Well, it all comes down to being okay with finding your own path.
You see, the goal of your 20s or your 30s or even your 40s isn't just to collect skills for a resume. It's to run experiments to learn about yourself. Economists have a great term for this: match quality. It's the fit between who you are and what you do. So a winding career path isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign that you're gathering crucial data on yourself.
I mean, just look at Vincent van Gogh's resume before he became, Van Gogh. He was an art dealer, a teacher, a bookstore clerk, a pastor in training, and he kind of failed at all of them. He didn't even seriously start his journey as an artist until he was 27. That whole winding path was just his sampling period, and it's what eventually led him to find that perfect match.
There's this great idea from a social scientist named Herminia Ibarra. She basically says we've got it all backward. We're told to plan, then implement. But she argues we should test and learn. We figure out who we are by doing things, not by thinking about them in a vacuum. The message is clear. First, act, then think.
So look, if there is one single thing I want you to take away from all this, it's this. Please, do not feel like you are behind. The modern world isn't some neat and tidy race to a finish line someone else set. It's a journey of discovery. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday.
I want to leave you with this amazing quote from Howard Finster. He was a self-taught artist who started painting when he was 59 years old and became this huge sensation. He said, "A person don't know what he can do unless he tries. Trying things is the answer to find your talent." So my question for you is, what's one thing you can try this week?